to Whiskey Happens. I'm Garrett. He's Travis.
Yeah.
And tonight we're talking about Old Forester 1924 Prohibition Whiskey Row Series Annual Limited Release. I don't know if I can pack more into that opening.
Lots of herbs. Lots of words right there.
But I'm very excited for this. If you haven't heard already, this is the same mash bill as Early Times Cooper's Craft and or King of Kentucky, which I've never had.
Yeah, neither have I.
I don't think I've ever seen a bottle, to be honest with you.
I think I've seen it while we were in Kentucky, but I never even tried.
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah.
I used to drink, I know you know, but I used to drink the Kentucky Gentleman all the time when I was a kid, and that is not made in Kentucky.
And what he's saying is not a kid. He means a young adult. He doesn't mean like an actual physical 10-year-old, but you know.
Maybe. But 79% corn, 11% rye, and 10% malted barley is the mash bill that was used to create this 10-year-old Old Forester bourbon, coming in at a whopping $115 MSRP. I've seen a trend as high as $300 on secondary. I'm not saying you should get on secondary. I would like to emphasize this is going to be an annual limited release. So if you don't get it this year, value, worth, time, effort means something to everybody, but there will be more, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I would agree. I think it's tough. At $115, a 10-year aged bourbon from Old Forester is just a tough thing to kind of pay for sometimes. I mean, when you've got Eagle Rare at $40, you've got Russell's at around $40, it's tough to make a jump, $75 for a bottle. And especially since a lot of their stuff isn't that high priced to begin with. So once again, this is one of their more expensive bottles that have come out. Outside of they do the limited releases.
Birthday bourbon, sure.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, like Trev said, I think, especially for myself as well, it's like the mash bill doesn't mean that I'm going to like the age. So manage your expectations as far as like, if you're not a fan of those other three incarnations of this mash bill, you may not like this and may not be worth your time.
Exactly.
But if you do like those other three, this is probably going to be up your alley. I'm hoping it's up my alley. I've been hoping for this. I was, my whiskey group, bourbon friends, or whatever you want to call them, I was like, there's nothing I'm interested in that's dropping this year. Not to say like I'm not buying anything this year, but there's nothing that's like, oh, I'm really excited for it, other than A. Smith Bowman Cast Strength. But I already missed my chances in the lottery, so it is what it is. But
well, and you're typically not an Old Forester fan in general.
Only because Travis tried to choke me out with a 132 proof single barrel. It was my first time drinking an Old Forester ever, and that did not go well. But since then, I mean, the 1910, 1920s, like everyone loves them. There is no getting around that. They're great pours every single time. Comparatively, a great value for what you're getting. This is yet to be seen. I will also take time to point out, yes, there is a sizable missing amount from this bottle, but I did share it with friends in cities where it hadn't dropped yet before we actually got to recording this.
And that's what you do. You share your bourbon. Everyone share.
Yeah.
Like
please do.
Like they teach you in grade school.
So definitely you get some oakiness for sure.
I just love the color. I mean, I know we do this all the time. We're like, oh, can you see the color? And it's hard to see it, but...
Pretty sure you can't even read this label.
No. it is a pretty dark, rich, like, I would say almost... I don't even know the hue of this, but it's like the oakiness just shows through even in the color. But I'm getting a little...
I think it's a strong grandmother's grave. I mean, there's a lot of rust and bright orange, so...
I definitely get some oakiness, but I also get almost like a rich chocolate, like a dark chocolate, like 94, 95% cacao.
Okay.
Yeah.
Down to the percentages, folks.
Percentages.
I'm getting some stone fruit, corn, obviously. I mean, this is a very corn-forward recipe.
Yeah.
Mash bill, if you will.
Let's get in that
But
taste.
then a light spice.
Light spice.
You know, somehow I skipped most of my palate and went straight to the back of my throat. This is not a normal reaction. Please do not ignore me.
But I will say this. Oh, it's the same response he had when I gave him the 133 beautiful force.
No.
But I'm getting, so for me with this one, I'm getting a lot of, it's like campfire-esque. So like when I first had a little bit of nip on that, it's almost like drinking a s'mores. You know, it's got the richness, so I still get the chocolate. I get a little bit of graham cracker-y, but then at the finish, I get that kind of marshmallow like sweetness that just kind of lingers and stays. It's still there, which I love.
I can't say the last time I've had a s'more, so I can't relate other than like, I would say, I was going to say butterscotch, but I can relate butterscotch to graham crackers anytime. So I'll meet you 50-50.
Okay.
Not that it was a debate, but just, sometimes you got to relate palates to palates. So
You do.
whatever you're familiar with tasting is what you're familiar with tasting.
Oh yeah, everyone's palate's so different depending on what you've eaten and everything. So
Yes, and as you guys can see, the second, I'm not cutting this video. That was a real reaction the first sip, but it is not the true reaction. I enjoyed it.
yeah,
Let's get on to some rocks.
yeah. I'm not pouring all this. I'm keeping some
Nope,
off to the side.
all of it.
Okay. I'm keeping some right there because I really like that. All right, let's try it. Let's stir.
Now immediately, it just screams corn.
Yeah.
And you may not want to hear that. But it's not like, oh, this is all I'm having. There's vanilla and the complexity of like baking spice along with, I think, more so plum than, like when you say stone fruit, most people think cherries or, but I think it's more of a plum note. And then again on the finish, it's very sweet. It's almost like a creme brulee going down.
I'll give you the creme brulee. On the front end, for me, it's almost like buttered popcorn. I'm getting like a buttery popcorn, which is interesting because that's not what I normally get from an Old Forester product, but it's good. It's good. It's just different. It's just, that's what I love about bourbon. It's just so vastly different from drinking it neat to putting it on the rocks. That's why we do this kind of neat rocks and Coke, is because we want to give everybody kind of a thought process behind it so that you know that there's never, I don't think there's ever been a time that we've had it neat and then on the rocks and it's very similar. It's usually either vastly different or it intensifies whatever we're having. And so,
Yeah, I mean, there could be scientific words for it, but I think neat is in its purest form
Yes.
where oxidation happens.
the
right?
molecular structure of the ice changes the
Well,
velocity.
yeah, generally water, well, as people say, opens it up, right?
Yeah.
And you are proofing it down to an extent, but whatever. And then Cokes, some people are just cocktail people, and that's how they're going to drink whatever spirit is their choice. Not that I'm defending any of this, because at the end of the day, like we always say, drink it how you like it. So at the end of the day, like we're always going to say, drink it how you like it.
Yep.
It's not a thing of like hard set. This is the only way. You spent your money, you created your formula for time versus worth and value, and that's okay. I'm not going to say you need to pay secondary for something. I'm not going to say I haven't paid secondary for something. I'm going to say whatever is worth to you in that moment, it is what it is.
My favorite is when I go to a friend's house and they drink a majority of their bourbon and whiskey with a Coke. And they're always like, it's not the best bourbon because I'm drinking it all, and it's almost like they have to defend it, and I'm always like,
Yeah.
I don't care how you drink it. Like Garrett said, drink it how you like it. So
Yeah, I think that like if I walked in someone's house and they're pouring whatever my version of a unicorn is into whatever their favorite way is to drink it, I'm never going to be like, oh my God, you can't do that. I might even say, hey, why are you doing that? But from a curiosity standpoint of like,
Yeah.
maybe I should try that. I think, no, I'm going to leave it at that. Now, see, this is the buttered popcorn I'm getting here with this. I think that if I am... Yeah, I think this is going to complement a dessert very well. I think that makes it a dessert bourbon right there.
I would say I'm actually not. I'm actually surprised. This is actually not that bad. With Coke, it's very surprising.
That being said, I think I'm going to go rocks on this one, though. Not that either way was bad, but I think the way it opens up on a cube was the more enjoyable way for me. What about you?
I'm gonna have to go neat. I really enjoy it neat. Rocks was fine, but for me, neat was the way that I would have to go. But close second, actually, isn't a Coke. Not bad.
All right.
Not bad at all.
Well, if you made it to this far in the video, please remember to always like, comment, and subscribe. We'd appreciate any attention you would like to give us, as well as if you're interested, any of our merch is available at whiskeyhappens.com. Everything's pretty much self-explanatory over there. And until next time, it doesn't matter if you like it neat, on the rocks, or in a fucking Coke. Whiskey happens. Cheers.